Welcome back to another Acceptable Casualties battle report. Today we have 1,500 points of the 8th Independent Penal Legion taking on the SS Cavalry Squadron. We're playing Fighting Withdrawal today, so stick around. We're going to go over the lists, and then we're going to hit deployment. Here we have our 1,500 points of the 8th Independent Penal Battalion. We have one full platoon of strafe company that's going to have 2 flamethrowers attached and 1 45mm with the commissar added on and the special character. I forgot what his name was, but he has the 5-up Feel No Pain or Resurrect from the Dead. And then they can gap all minefields and barbed wire, just like they were a sapper team. We have an identical strafe company here as well with all the same loadout except for the special character. Then we have a mortar team with an observer, and we have 2 of the 31mm Katyushas with the double squad, so they get the regular template without having to reroll for the penalty, and an observer. Special rules for these guys is they always attack no matter who they're fighting against. They have a 2-up motivation, and they don't take company morale. So they have that going for them, and then the downside is we have to keep moving forward because we are ineligible to dig in. So this should be a pretty good matchup, especially with Fighting Withdrawal. This is almost a dream matchup for these guys. It should be a pretty fun game. Now we're going to jump over to the SS Cavalry and go over their list. So here we have our 1,500 points of the SS Cavalry Squadron. Starting down here, we have the 1IC, 2IC, and 2 Panzerschreck units. There's going to be 3 of the cavalry platoons sitting here, all basic loadout with a rifle MG, right, Vin? Yep. Yeah, rifle MG. Then up here we have a squad of 4 MG42s, another squad of 3 Pack 40s, a squad of Nebelwerfers with an observer, 2 platoons of the Stugs, and then we have another group of quad flak guns. These are 2 centimeters, right? Yes. Yeah, and they're just on trucks, not half tracks. So that's 1,500 points of the SS Cavalry Squadron, and we're going to set up our deployment, and then we'll be back with you guys in a second. So we are back for deployment. Let's just do a little rundown on how things are looking over here on the German side. The Pack 40s and the quads are climbing up over here. They got a squad of what do they call the SS? Just cavalry, right? Yeah, in that building right there. They have some HMGs on the top of the hotel, an observer inside that building, and here's one of the objectives. The other objective is over there, and the third objective is over there before I forget. Oh, on the back table edge, they got the Nebelwerfers. They got the Stugs kind of lined up over there in between the buildings, and then over here, they kind of just strung out the rest of those infantry platoons, and they have the MG42s up there as support. Sitting in ambush, they have the other platoon of Stugs. That's pretty much what it looks like for the Germans in deployment. Down here for the Penal Legion, we have our mortars lined up along the back, and then there's the 1st Strafe Company right here. That's the one without the special character. Probably going to try to make a push across these fields. See if we can get at least maybe 10 guys over there, but I don't even know if that's going to end up happening at this point. Over here, we have the other strafe company with the special character, and then we have the 1IC and the battalion commissar with them. So they're going to try to probably make a push up here and try to maybe wedge in between those 2 objectives. We'll see how that plays out. And then over here, we have the Katyushas with the 2IC tucked away in the corner just to give support fire. And that's pretty much it for deployment. We'll be back in a second at the end of turn 1, see how this all plays out. So we are back here for the top of turn 1 for the Penal Legion. Pretty much for movement, we just went at the double with both of the strafe companies and try to push up to the fence lines and the hedges to get a little bit of concealment before we make that suicide charge across that open field. That's just going to be ugly, as well as along the river edge right here. As far as shooting goes, like I said, at the double, so they didn't do much. We ended up taking this mortar squad right here, and we were able to pin down the Pack 40s, the machine gun squad on the roof over there, and the observer, but we weren't able to dish out any casualties, but they are pinned. On this side, the Katyushas, they actually fired a rocket volley over there, but they weren't able to range in. So that was just a waste of turn with them. So we're going to let the SS Cavalry get their turn for the bottom of turn 1, and then we'll be right back. So we are back for the bottom of SS Cavalry turn 2. Pretty good shooting round for these guys since the at the double, but nobody moved except for these guys, the quad flaks that came around, and the Stugs over here popped their ambush. Shooting phase, the Stugs fired down at the Katyushas, but they didn't get anything off. They just missed on all 4 of their shots. The MG42s up there and some of the rifle squad, they opened up down here, and their combined fire killed 6 of the Penal Legion. On this side, you had the pinned Pack 40s, the pinned machine guns, you had the Stugs, and then you had the quad flaks all opened up down here, and they were able to kill 9 of the infantry bases as well as the 45 millimeter. And the Nebelwerfer in the back, they fired down here. I think they killed 1 or 2 bases, and they were able to pin the unit. So we're going to come back at the top of turn 2 and see if we can get these guys a little further up the table. So we are back for top of turn 2 for the Penal Legion. Pretty decent turn overall. We pushed ahead with the first company right here, and we did the same over here. The Katyushas and the mortars down here, they just kind of stayed put. As far as shooting goes, we went up here, we dumped a bunch of SMG rounds into the half tracks or the trucks, and didn't really do anything. They then made a whole bunch of 5-up saves, but then in an assault, we kind of just rolled in there and took care of business. Over on this side, the Katyushas shot, and they were able to bail out the Stug over there, kill a MG, and then they were able to take out an infantryman and then pin a couple of units. They did pretty well that turn, and the mortars, they fired in there as well, but really didn't get anything done. They fired down at the half tracks. Assaults on this side, this company ended up going in there, and we assaulted the Stugs that were on the other side of the building over here. We were able to take one, actually able to capture one after we got one to bail, and then they failed their motivation and they rolled back to that objective, and we just decided to take the house and wait until our next turn. So that's pretty much all that happened here at top of turn 2 for the Penal Legion. We're going to come back for the SS Cavalry at the bottom of 2. So we are back for the bottom of turn 2 for the SS Cavalry. Movement phase, nothing really happened as far as movement goes. Everybody kind of stayed put and just lined up their shots. Starting from the back, the Nebelwerfers, they were going to come down here and drop a bombardment on these guys, but they failed to range in. The Pack 40s fired a couple shots over here, and they were able to take out 2 guys. The Stugs, they fired a bunch of machine gun fire and then did their stormtrooper move and moved on up. The MG42 that was up there fired a bunch of rounds down here, but I don't think they killed anybody. On this side, the Stug on the corner right there, he fired 2 cannon shots into the building over here, but they weren't able to peel anybody off. And then up here, the rifles, MG teams from this platoon and the guys that were in range from that platoon, they all fired into here and they weren't able to take anybody out. The 2 Stugs, they fired 4 rounds over here into the Katyushas, 1 hit, but then they failed their firepower test to take these guys out. So nothing on that end. And then before they moved, they were in front of those MG42s, so they weren't able to even fire because they couldn't get line of sight on anything. So that was the bottom of turn 2 for the SS Cav. So we're going to come back for the Penal Legion top 3. So we're here for top of turn 3 for the Soviet Penal Legion. On this side, we just reshuffled these guys into the forest over here to give them a little bit of cover before we make our last push. Over here on this side, we kind of got sick of sitting in the house, so we figured we'd charge out. We used our flamethrowers on the Stugs, so they weren't able to fire on Overwatch, but then just the amount of guys that they had over there, they were able to get 11 hits, and, you know, I only needed, 10 is my limit, so yeah, he was able to bust that by 1. Katyushas failed to range in, and the mortars on this side for their shooting, they were able to range in on that Stug, and they just were able to pin the guys in the house. And I think they pinned Pack 40s too? No, I don't think they did. Did they? They did. Okay, so they pinned Pack 40s and they pinned the guys in the house. That's all that really happened here for the top of turn 3. Pretty uneventful. So we're going to go to the SS Cavalry Squadron, bottom 3. So we are back for the bottom of turn 3 for the SS Cav. Pretty good round of shooting. I mean, for the most part, nobody really moved except for the Stugs over here. They moved up into the field, and the one bogged on the hedgerows coming over the side right there. Shooting phase, all these platoons over here opened up, the Stugs, the 2 MG platoons, the MG42s, and they just ripped up all of those dirty, filthy commies. And then over on this side, Pack 40s, only one was really able to fire in there, and then some of the rifle guys fired in there, and the Stug fired his MG into the forests, and they were actually able to kill, I think it was 2 or 3 bases, right? Yeah, it was 3 bases, so they had to peel a couple guys off there, but everybody passed their morale. We're going in the top of 4 right now. The 2 strafe companies, they're whittled down pretty bad, but like I said, I mean, the commissar's behind them with the gun in the air, firing off shots, no retreat, no surrender. So we'll see how this goes. Top 4, be back in a flash. So we're back here at top of turn 4 for the Penal Legion. Not a terrible turn, but not a good turn either. So obviously the Katyushas and the mortar team down here, they stayed put. The mortars fired support up here for the Penal Legion that assaulted and was able to take out the one Stug. They bailed with a flamer, and then the other guy that was hung up and bogged down, he wasn't able to get away when the consolidation happened, so we were able to capture him as well. In that shooting phase, also, we were able to take out one of the Pack 40s with the mortar and pin everybody over there, and the Pack 40s are now no longer dug in because they had to back out to get outside of that 2-inch bubble after the assault. On this side, we had the Katyusha go over here, and he was able to take out one of the MGs and then pin another unit. Down here, we tried to move the remaining, 5 bases, I think, up here to assault these guys, but Vin was able to just hit 5 shots on the nose with supporting fire and able to beat back that assault. I don't think it's going to be looking too good for this first company over here with the Penal Legion and the first in command, the battalion commissar. Guys over there, maybe they can make a push for one of those objectives next turn, but we'll see how things play out. So we're going to come back here at the bottom of SS turn 4. So we are back here at the bottom of turn 4, and oh man, these Reds are getting smoked. So everybody pretty much unpinned on this side of the table for the Germans, and everybody over here pretty much just turned their guns, and they just ripped into the remaining group of this Penal Legion right here. All that's left is the one I see in that 45 millimeter park down here. Over on this side, we had those 5 guys left on the wall. Left on the hedges over there, and they just got shredded from machine gun fire, Pack 40 fire. All left is the lowly commissar, who can't move, but he's at least contesting the objective, but he can't dig in. So I'm not putting too much faith in him as far as next turn goes. We're going to be back at top 5, and it looks like all we're going to be able to do is drop some artillery and mortars and hope we can get these Russians to hoping to get the Germans to just break from a command test or something like that. But yeah, this is this is getting pretty ugly. So we'll be back top of turn 5. So we're back here for top of turn 5 for the Penal Legion. Commissar has an SMG, so everybody's pretty much out of range for him. So he's just gonna hang out for a little bit. We move the one I see back to the bridge because he really can't do much else. The 45 millimeter dumped a couple rounds into that infantry squad, hoping to get one guy. One went through, but we failed our firepower. Over here, the Katyushas fired up into here as well as the mortars. We were able to bail the Stug, and then we weren't able to dig out the Pack 40 because Vin made a save. So we just pretty much just pinned everybody over there in the corner, but no damage was done. So I'm gonna let Vin play his last round here for round 5, and I think after that I'm just gonna throw in the towel because I would feel kind of guilty if the Germans lost this game because of a command roll when I have just a mortar line and a Katyusha line, and I think 2 infantry guys in the one I see on the table. So we're gonna let the Germans do their thing here at the end, and then after that we'll probably do a recap. So we are back for the bottom turn 5 for the SS Cav. Oh man. So lonely little Ivan down here, Russia's favorite commissar, got mowed down under a hail of gunfire. I think he had 9 hits, and I might have missed like 6 or 7 of those saves. So yeah, he got riddled pretty good. The Pac 40s fired a couple shots down here to the mortars, who obviously can't be dug in because they're strafe. So 2 of those guys got popped on that 5-up save. Over here, the Stugs fired a couple shots, and I was able to make the save with the one IC, but the 45 millimeter, he failed his save, and then the firepower check through that gun shield ended up punching him out. So at the end of turn 5, I'm going to shake Vin's hand and call it a day, because it's not much of a penal legion when you don't have any guys in the penal legion. So we'll be back in a second, and we'll do a quick recap of how this charge ultimately failed, and just give me a minute and we'll talk about it. So we are back here for the end of the game recap. The SS Cav, they held the line, man. They just tore this up. Like, look at this, that's just bodies of
dead comrades.
dead comrades. You got all these guys died with no honor, no redemption for the penal legion on this one. Just a bunch of
this was pulled.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a bunch of commie fertilizer to re-help these fields out for next season. But as far as the strategy of everything and what I was planning, the way that we had the terrain set up, and like obviously we didn't know before we rolled the mission, the only 2 real feasible ways for me to go was to take the first strafe company and punch up this alleyway right here and make a push for that end objective. And then the other one, I was going to push up this side, obviously, and put pressure on that objective. And if we got into late game, Vin was going to end up probably pulling one of the flank objectives first. So the idea was, if he pulled one of the flanks, I would either wheel in to take the middle from the left or the right. Unfortunately, that really didn't work out too well. Those flak trucks and the MG42s up there, I mean, they just did work on this side of the table, and they shredded that infantry platoon. There's really nothing I can do about that. I mean, I'm surprised I got those guys at least up to the hedge line and was able to take out those tanks, but by then it was pretty much a done deal. They really weren't going to be able to push any further than that, because there was still an MG rifle platoon in those buildings up there, and there's still the Stug that was left on the corner over here that been pulled off turn 5. So there was still enough firepower on that side to make mincemeat of those guys if they would have survived that volley of fire. On this side, they did pretty good getting up to the building and then taking the building, but I think what just boned that company as well was when we came out and we did that charge, and our flamers weren't able to do anything to the Stugs, and then we weren't able to pin that rifle platoon on this side, so they got full rate of fire for the defensive fire, and we weren't able to kill anybody either with our shots before we did that charge. So taking those 11 dice when we needed 10 to pin, like that was pretty brutal. I think if we would have gotten that assault off, we would have been able to at least do a little bit of damage, maybe peel one of those platoons off and hang in there for a little bit later. The Kaitushas, I think, did pretty decent. They were able to pin, bail, do a little bit of damage, especially over on that corner lot over there. And the mortars, for 100 points, I mean, they kept this side of the table pinned down as far as Pac 40s went, and the guys in the building up there. But, overall, this list, it seems like all of it's do or die with those 2 strafe companies. And it was a lot of dying this time around. But I'll definitely bring these guys out, and I think I'll play with them again. They were a really fun list. Maybe not like super competitive, but I mean, like I said, there's something to be said for you pushing 60 bases across the table and then watching them drop like flies over the course of a game.
If you would have had to go long way instead of short table, I think it would have been totally different.
Yeah, like I think the fighting withdrawal was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It kind of fit the whole strafe company thing. We rolled that up was pretty nice. But yeah, I think if it would have been long table edge, I mean going long ways this way, I think I would have had maybe a little bit more cover. But ultimately, yeah, the Germans, man, just between the MG fire and those Stugs, it's just overall, Vin, you played a pretty solid game. So yeah, congratulations to the SS Cav. We'll have to do this one again. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back soon.